That selfie. It's the last picture any of us took together. There were 7 of us then. We thought we were just camping in the park. But that night, only I made it home. I never told anyone what I saw, until I went back 8 years later. My name is Evan Rowe, and I was 14 the summer my friends disappeared. For years, people called me the lucky one, the survivor, the boy who came back. But I never felt lucky. The picture, the one we took that afternoon in June 2010, still haunts me. We were sitting on the grass near Oak Hollow Park, the sun so bright it looked like everything was glowing. My best friend Lydia Brooks held out her arm to take the selfie. There was Jonah Pratt, always grinning too wide, Maya Hill with her braids tied in pink, Trent Walters, who pretended not to like her, and the twins, Kaylee and Kara Jensen, waving from the back, and me, smiling, clueless, sitting in the middle. That evening, we decided to camp near the woods. It wasn't allowed, but we were kids. Breaking small rules made us feel older. By morning, they were gone. Police found me walking along the edge of the highway 3 miles away, barefoot, dazed, and covered in dirt. I had no memory of how I got there, only flashes. Lantern light, someone whispering my name, a figure standing near the trees. When they questioned me, I froze. I said I couldn't remember. And eventually I convinced myself I really couldn't. The case went cold. My parents moved us out of town a year later. Reporters lost interest. Oak Hollow became a name people whispered with pity, then forgot. But I didn't. For years I woke up at night hearing the sound of branches snapping. I'd see faces in my dreams, Lydia's face most of all. Every June around the anniversary, I'd tell myself to let it go. And every June, I couldn't. Then, in 2018, something changed. My father passed away that spring, and I drove back to my hometown to sort through his things. The drive took me past Oak Hollow Park. The sign was rusted. The fields were overgrown. But the moment I saw it, something in me locked up, like a memory trying to claw its way out. I parked on the side of the road and walked in. The grass was waist-high now, the path almost invisible. My shoes crunched over gravel, and I could still picture us there, sprawled on blankets, laughing. When I reached the spot where we'd taken the selfie, I stopped. The air felt different, still, and that's when I saw it. Off to the left, through the trees, a faint trail I'd never noticed before. It looked old, overgrown, but there was something about it that felt wrongly familiar. I told myself I'd just take a peek, but as I followed it, pushing through brambles, the woods grew quieter. Even the birds stopped. And then I saw it. A small wooden shack, half swallowed by vines, the windows boarded, the roof sagging under years of rain. And my stomach dropped, because I remembered that place. Not clearly, just fragments. A door creaking open, someone's hand gripping my arm, a whisper, "Don't tell." I stood there for a long time, my heart hammering, before walking closer. On the door, half hidden by ivy, someone had carved letters into the wood. They were faded but readable. "He's still here." I don't remember how long I stood there, staring at those words. All I knew was that after 8 years of silence, the truth was waiting for me behind that door. The next morning, I went to the sheriff's office. It wasn't the same sheriff from 2010, but he knew who I was the second I said my name. "Oh," he said softly, "you're Evan Rowe." I told him I'd found something in the old park, something they might have missed. He looked skeptical, said the area was condemned years ago, that the shack was just an old maintenance shed. But when I mentioned the message carved on the door, his expression changed. "Show me," he said. We drove out there in his cruiser, the tires crunching through gravel and weeds. The shack looked smaller in daylight, but somehow even sadder. He radioed for backup, just in case, and pushed the door open with his flashlight. The smell hit first. Rot, mold, and something metallic. The floor was littered with leaves and debris. There was an old cot in the corner, a rusted lantern, and scattered bits of junk. But then the beam of his flashlight caught something near the wall. It was a bracelet, pink, with plastic beads spelling Maya. My chest tightened so hard I couldn't breathe. The sheriff bagged it immediately and told me to wait outside. I sat on a fallen log, staring at the woods. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't. After a few minutes, he came back out. "There's more," he said quietly. "We'll need a full team to process this." They found 2 old backpacks under the floorboards, a broken phone, and a tattered flannel shirt that once belonged to Jonah. But no bodies. When the story hit the local paper again, people started calling. Some remembered seeing an old man who used to live near the park, a caretaker named Howard Lentz. He'd been hired to watch over the grounds years before, but no one had seen him since around 2011. Something clicked. That name. Howard. The night of the disappearance, I'd heard someone whisper, "Go get Howard." It wasn't a name I could have imagined. I dug through online records, old news clippings, anything I could find. It turned out Howard Lentz had a son, Peter, who would have been about my age back then. They lived in a small trailer near the park entrance until it burned down in 2012. No one ever found Howard after that. A week later, the sheriff called me. "We found something else," he said. "You might want to come in." When I arrived, he showed me a photograph, warped, water-stained. It was of our group sitting around the campfire. And behind us, barely visible in the dark, was a tall figure, standing at the edge of the woods. He zoomed in, and I could see a face. Not clearly, but enough to tell it wasn't one of us. That night, I barely slept. Every sound outside my motel window made me jump. The next morning, I went back to the park alone. I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe I just needed to understand. I followed the same overgrown path, past the shack, deeper into the woods. After about half a mile, I found another clearing. There, hidden behind a wall of ivy, was a small tool shed. Inside were old cans, ropes, and an oil lantern that looked eerily familiar. But on the wall, scratched into the wood, were more words. "We tried to run." Something in me broke open then. I knelt down, shaking, and that's when I saw it. A small wooden box tucked beneath a pile of tools. Inside were faded Polaroids, of the park, of the kids, of us. The last photo was of me, and behind me a shadow. I stumbled out of there and called the sheriff. They searched the entire area that night. The next day they brought in dogs, metal detectors, everything. That's when they found bones, near a dried-up stream bed about 50 yards from the shack. DNA confirmed it was Lydia. I remember sitting on the hood of my car, staring at the ground while the sheriff talked. His voice was muffled, far away. I kept thinking of Lydia's laugh, the way she'd roll her eyes and nudge my shoulder when I said something dumb. She'd been so alive that day, and now she was gone. They kept searching for the others, but only found fragments, buttons, bits of clothing, a cracked phone case. It was enough to reopen the case. That's when the name Peter Lentz resurfaced again. Someone at a nearby gas station remembered a man matching his description. Mid-20s, quiet, working odd jobs. Lived alone on the outskirts of town. I didn't tell the sheriff, but I knew what I had to do. That night, I drove out there myself. His house wasn't much more than a shack. Tin roof, cluttered porch, a single light glowing inside. I parked down the road and walked the rest of the way, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. When I knocked, the door creaked open a few inches. "Can I help you?" a man's voice asked. He looked older than me by a few years. His eyes were pale, distant, like he hadn't slept in weeks. "Peter?" I said. He froze. "Do I know you?" "I think you do," I whispered. "We used to camp near Oak Hollow, back in 2010. His face changed, like the color drained right out of him. He opened the door wider but didn't say anything. I stepped inside. The house smelled of dust and old wood. On the table sat a pile of newspaper clippings about the disappearances. And there, among them, was our Selfie, the one from that day. "I didn't hurt them," he said suddenly. His voice cracked. "You have to believe me." I stared at him. "Then tell me what happened." He sank into a chair. "My father. He wasn't right. After my mom died, something in him broke. He hated kids coming near the park, said they disrespected it. That night, he heard you all laughing. He grabbed his rifle. I tried to stop him. I felt my knees go weak. He took them into the woods," Peter continued. "Said he'd scare them off. But when I found him later..." He swallowed hard. There was blood. I buried what I could before the police came. He told me if I said anything, he'd kill me too. "Where is he now?" I asked. Peter looked toward the back door. "Gone. Died in the fire. But I still hear him sometimes." The silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. Finally, I said, "You could have told someone." He shook his head. "No one would have believed me. And you were the only one he let go. He said it would be worse for you to remember." Those words hit me like a punch, because suddenly it all came back. The flashlight, the shouting, Lydia's scream, a hand pulling me through the trees, and a voice saying, "Run, boy, don't look back." I stumbled outside, gasping for air. By the time the sheriff arrived, after I called him shaking, Peter was gone. He'd left a note on the table. "I couldn't stop him, but maybe you can forgive me." They found his truck a week later at the river, door open, keys still inside. He never turned up. The investigation officially closed a year later, but the truth didn't bring comfort. It just left space where grief finally settled. I visited Lydia's grave the following spring, brought flowers, told her I was sorry for not remembering sooner, sorry for letting the silence last so long. Oak Hollow Park is gone now, bulldozed and fenced off. But sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still see us there on the grass, laughing, sunlight on our faces. The last picture before everything changed. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself for surviving, but I've learned something in these years since. Silence protects no one. If you ever lose someone and the questions don't make sense, don't stop asking. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just helps you breathe again. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Subscribe if you believe every truth eventually surfaces.